back with us on the SportsMax. So my face lights up because we're going to talk horse racing now, because the Royal Ascot Flat Racing Festival continued on Friday with day 4 action. The Duke and the Duchess of Cambridge led the royal procession on their first appearance in Berkshire County since 2019. On the track, the modern-day King of Ascot, Frankie Dettori, has a statue at Ascot, who's had a miserable festival this year, had reason to be cheerful as the super filly Inspiral carried him to victory in the Coronation Stakes.
International field of 12 are sent on their way to a very good line. Cachet is indeed one of the first to show. Prosperous Voyage pushed up on the outside, and Discoveries also takes a handy position as they race through the first furlong. Spenderella and Mongustine pushing up on the rails as Cachet hasn't quite yet been able to cross. Racing in midfield is Rolling the Dice, who is just ahead of Grand Dame, who was caught on heels there with Tenebrism. Inspiral races alongside Sandringham, and the back markers of Pizza Bianca, who's well back and has been relegated to last by Honey Girl. So now Cachet has got to the front and out in the lead. The rider just trying to sit up James Doyle and steady things down. Chased as she was in the Guineas by Prosperous Voyage in second place, with Spenderella racing in third as the pace just steadies as they climb uphill. Mongustine races next on the inside of Discoveries. Tenebrism tracks them in midfield with Grand Dame in black and white, then Rolling the Dice and Sandrine. Red, white and blue of Inspiral, and the last two remain Honey Girl and Pizza Bianca. So making the turn now and then the straight. Cachet just beginning to raise the ante. Passing the three has the lead from Prosperous Voyage. This little group trying to get away with Spenderella. Discoveries on the outside, then towards the inside Mongustine, who still travels okay. Grand Dame, Tenebrism, Inspiral, red, white and blue is also trying hard as they make their way now with a furlong and a half to go. Cachet, Spenderella, Discoveries down the outside. Inspiral is now getting into full price, so is Tenebrism. It's Discoveries and Spenderella over on the far side, but now Inspiral kicks in and goes readily away. Inspiral spread eagling an international field from Spenderella, Discoveries and Tenebrism. Back with a bang. Last year's leading 2-year-old Inspiral routs them in the Coronation. Spenderella, Discoveries, Tenebrism, Cachet couldn't hold on today. Pizza Bianca never involved. Honey Girl and right the way back to...
Yeah, so Inspiral, the best 2-year-old filly in Europe last season, not just in the UK, but in Europe. She was the best 2-year-old filly, but she had several injuries that caused her to miss her primary targets in this 3-year-old campaign. She missed the Guineas at Newmarket. Then they wanted to prepare her for the Irish Guineas. She also missed that, and then they took her here. This was her seasonal debut, and she did that, Lance Whitaker.
Yeah, and some potential traffic trouble for Frankie Dettori. About 3 furlongs out just now. He had to do some scooting about there to get some racing room. Heading into the race, George, you said Inspiral carried Frankie Dettori to victory, which takes a little bit away from you giving him so much credit for breaking his ducks today.
Yeah,
we know you're a Frankie Dettori fan.
Yeah,
but,
huge.
If he is that good, was the horse carrying him, or is the horse that good?
The horse, well, that's the point I'm making. It was the horse more than him. Yes. The horse was just head and shoulders above everybody else. And you spoke of the traffic trouble he dodged in this race. It was because of traffic trouble why the Queen didn't have a winner yesterday with Dettori on it, because her Saga came charging too late and was beaten by the Aidan O'Brien horse ridden by Ryan Moore by a short head. And the reports out of Royal Ascot are that the trainer of Saga, John Gosden, who was also the trainer of Inspiral, went into the dressing room and both men had a heated discussion. Wow. Yeah, very heated discussion. And then when John Gosden gave a TV interview where he basically threw Dettori under the bus, saying that that was not the plan that we discussed. We discussed a different plan. He got himself, he held him up, and he was in so much traffic that his run was delayed, and by the time he saw daylight, it was too late. So he threw the jockey under the bus publicly, to the extent, look, the friction between them is such that today the legendary jockey, AP Tony McCoy, arguably the best jumps jockey in the history of British racing, launched an impassioned defense of Dettori today, saying that he said publicly that I am disappointed with Gosden's comments about Dettori because he should know that he's a world-class rider. You'd rather have Dettori riding for you than riding against you. You don't throw your guy under the bus publicly like that. And the other guys were trying to put into context why Gosden would have reacted the way he did. And even Jason Weaver, who was talking about the ride from Ascot to the hotel saying that everybody in the car, the 10-minute drive, all they were talking about was Dettori and Gosden. And at Ascot, the fans, all of them were talking about Dettori and Gosden because Dettori, they felt, threw away 2 races yesterday. The one on Stradivarius, where he didn't get a run because of traffic problems, and the one on Saga, where he came second because of traffic problems.
I think I heard Gosden in an interview saying that as far as they're concerned, the horse won.
So, he said Saga believes he won.
Yes, the horse won. Yeah. So it was almost as if they were saying that the horse did enough to win.
Absolutely, he did. And I was so upset with Dettori yesterday for the Saga ride, I turned off the TV immediately because I couldn't believe he threw that away. Anyway, here's some history now at Royal Ascot today because Heredia survived a steward's inquiry to take the Sandringham handicap and in the process give jockey Sean Levy a first Royal Ascot winner. We'll tell you why it's significant.
28 across the track in the gates, and they're off racing over the straight mile in the Sandringham Stakes, and Augmentarian gets the first call. Also Golden Spice over on the far side is showing very good early speed in the very early stages. Also right up there towards the near side races the blue colours of Minoir. Meanwhile over on the far side, another one is right up there is Morgan Fairy. Morgan Fairy is up there now together with Golden Spice, just about the first two. Meanwhile towards the near side racing very fast, and so too is Aunt Bethany. These then being followed by Golden Mayflower, and then the red colours at present moment who's just hunting up the leading group, racing alongside No Name Nicky in the very early stages. At the moment Zambak is just about the back marker. The late running Heredia has certainly more in front than behind. Also Sigami on the near side and Lullaby are towards the rear of the field, and over on the far side towards the back of the pack the likes of Love Interest and also Discretion. They're racing now on towards the halfway point, and it's Morgan Fairy who now comes through to share it with Golden Spice. These are the first two. Towards the near side now, Minoir is already coming under a ride, so too is Aunt Bethany. Now travelling well over on the far side is My Silent Song, who's making very good progress, and Fresh Hope for Hayley Turner right over on the far left wing as we look down the track, making a copycat move together with Augmentarian. Now towards the near side, bursting through is Crenell, and Crenell takes the lead now to Mashara, and then on the near side as well is Sagama, but on the far side Fresh Hope with Crenell on the near side. These are now the first two, and Heredia bursting through from right out the back of the field. They race down towards the final half furlong. It's Heredia and Zambak chasing her home. Zambak, Heredia by half a length. Heredia just drifting into the path of Zambak right on the line. Heredia first past the post. Zambak followed by Crenell, and then Sigama, followed next by Mashara. After Mashara, very late headway by Persist from a long way back.
Yeah, so Heredia, they're getting the victory. Again, part of the reason I say Jamaican racing, a lot of it is backward. The Stewards' Inquiry, Lance, was played out on the TV for the whole world to see. You saw the two jockeys in the stewards' room. The stewards sat behind them, and they asked Jim Crowley, they played the film, they said, Mr. Crowley, what do you think happened? And Jim said, well, the interference, yes, I was interfered with, but it was about 2 strides from the wire. So I don't think it made a difference to the result, but I would have gotten closer. And then they said, well, Mr. Levy, you've heard what Mr. Crowley has said, what have you had to say? And Sean Levy was saying, well, when I realized she was drifting, I tried to correct her, but it was so close to the finish that I don't think the interference cost the second horse the victory.
If you saw it.
Absolutely, So that was a beautiful thing. So here's the thing about Sean Levy now. Fans of the SportsMax Zone would remember Sean Levy. We spoke about him in 2018 when he rode the 1,000 Guineas winner Bilsden Brook in that race for the same trainer, Richard Hannon, who trains this horse Heredia. That was significant because that was the first time in the history of British racing that a black jockey was winning a classic. So this is the first time a black jockey is winning at Royal Ascot. So Sean Levy, who is the son of an Irishman, but so his father is an Irishman, his mother is from the old Swaziland, which they now call Eswatini. So she's a black woman. So, of course, you know how it works, So he was apprenticed by Aidan O'Brien at Ballydoyle, rode for him there, usually rode the rabbits in the big races. Not riding a rabbit, but a horse whose role was a rabbit, just in case anybody's wondering. And then, of course, he came over to the UK, and Richard Hannon has taken him in. So Richard Hannon has been a part of Sean Levy's biggest achievements. First black man to win a British Classic, the 1,000 Guineas, Bilsden Brook, in 2018. And now the first black man to win at Royal Ascot, this time about Heredia. It's a significant achievement.
Yeah, big ride as well. A lot of left-hand whipping close to the end there, and it was about a 30-horse field, George?
Yes, it was 30 horses.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of racing there.
And
you know, 2 furlongs out,
Like 10 horses had a chance.
Yeah, so yeah, credit.
Yeah, and the race at Saga lost yesterday, the tour ride I'm talking about, there were 32 horses or 30 in the race. Yeah. So it was, he really didn't have room, but you felt he could have acted earlier to make room. But anyway.
Being Dettori.
Being Dettori.
Yes, because he's special.
Yes, he is. Frenchman Christophe Soumillon, who flew in for just one ride, produced a clinical display of horsemanship to steer Perfect Power to victory in the Group 1 Commonwealth Cup. Now, just before we go to the video, Perfect Power was actually the horse that I tipped right here on the zone to win the 1,000 guineas, but it proved that 8 furlongs is too far for the 2,000 guineas rather. 8 furlongs, too far for him. But today's trip 6 furlongs, right up his street.
15 to complete the lineup of 23-year-olds sprinters in the gate. They're off. It looked a pretty level break as well. Over on the far side, Go Bears Go is showing early speed. Also Miramar for France is right up there, and so to his Wings of War. Meanwhile, in the centre of the course, we've got Floaters who's right up there, and so too is Flaming Rib, and then the blue headgear of Giza Sub is also prominent as they go through the first couple of furlongs. Already just been niggled along towards the near side is El Caballo to go the early gallop. Also right out the back of the field is Eras over on the far side. It is Giza Sub who is scorching the turf on the near side and has the lead to Miramar and Flaming Sub. Over on the far side is Sacred Bridge, who's got the pink cap alongside Go Bears Go. They're then being followed by the dark blue of Wings of War. Just in behind that one, Perfect Power, looking for a seam, kept in a pocket by Eras, who is also staying on. Now Booney is picking up, also Type of Flow is trying to pick up, and also Zane Claudette fanning out across the course with a furlong and a half to go. Floaters defending the centre with Flaming Rib are the first two. Now staying on is Cadamosto in the centre. Perfect Power, they've got another 150 yards to go. Flaming Rib on the near side, Perfect Power on the far side. Perfect Power, perfect again at Royal Ascot. Perfect Power wins. Flaming Rib and then Cadamosto and Floaters, followed home by Miramar and then Eras, and they trailed right back to the likes of Twilight Jet and Hierarchy, who never got in a blow.
Yeah, so Perfect Power, they're perfect in the event, and taking the Commonwealth Cup under jockey Christophe Soumillon, one of the French jockeys, one of the top jockeys in world horse racing, and that was pretty good. The last thing I'll say is this: the thing for Dettori and everybody else, well, Dettori and those connected to him, when you're 51 years old and you are losing races like this, people look at it differently than if you were 21, 31, or 41, or even 19.
Yes.
Yeah? Because once you start losing these races, they say it's because you're old.
Yes.
Yeah? If you're 41, nobody says that. If you're 31, nobody says that. And maybe people won't take as dim a view of you losing. But so I feel his pain from that perspective, because people are saying, oh, it's because he's old, why? And it's not, it's just bad luck in racing. Every jockey experiences it. Racing theoretically is very simple. A jockey's role is to take the horse from the gate to the finish in as straight a line as possible, without any interference. That's the hope of the connections and the jockey himself. How do I get this horse from the gate to the finish without interference in as straight a line as possible? That's a job in theory. In practice, it is very difficult, because especially in a 30-horse field, these are animals and jostling and everything. It's very difficult. A lot of your fate, a lot of what happens is not in your control. It's not in your gift, and that's a difficulty with riding these high-class, high-strung athletes.
Yeah, we'll have to promo the Saturday morning coverage, though, George. The final day of Royal Ascot and the Platinum Jubilee Stakes will be the feature on the program. 7:30, 8:30 Eastern Caribbean coverage starts on SportsMax. This big event is scheduled for about 9:20, 10:20, 11:20 Eastern Caribbean time. And George, the Australian entry, Home Affairs, is trying to complete a double for the trainer who won with Nature Strip in the Kingston Sprint earlier on, and the Aussies trying to get a sprint double here, so that's going to be a hot one.
Yeah, the Aussies have the best sprinters in world horse racing right now, pound for pound.
Yes.
Well, on those kind of tracks.
Yes.
On the flat tracks, it's the Americans, but on the European tracks and so forth, the Aussies are killers.
Hard to beat. Yeah. Break time. Back with more on the zone after this.